Hey, this is Johnny for Johnny's Cool Stuff. I've got a little video today. It's just something completely removed from guitars and effects, pedals, and the things I normally talk about. This is something completely different. But I wanted to talk about an experience that I had back in 1976. This is really interesting. This is a spiritually transformative, I would say, experience. It was something that happened externally, but became a part of me and altered my state of mind to such a degree that it's even hard to comprehend even to this day. So let me get started. So when I was 16, I took my driver's exam and I failed it miserably. It was horrible. And there was road work going on. The roads were all messed up, chopped up, different cones everywhere, people directing you. And I literally drove out of the Department of Motor Vehicles, turned right, and already made a violation because of all this going on. The guy says, hey, turn around and go back in. So I literally just barely left the parking lot and had to turn right back in, and I failed miserably. And it was a blow because everybody was getting their license. This was the 70s. It was important to get your license. And so I was pretty devastated because of that. So I waited a while. I waited until the next year. I was 17. I thought, well, I'm going to give it a try again. I'm going to give it a shot. I was nervous, and so I was told by friends at school that there was a particular individual that had been a former drill instructor. He was very tough. He was a guy was like a Korean War veteran, and he just was really by the book, and this guy didn't catch any slack. He was just really gruff and very down to business and not easy to deal with. And so I go down there. My dad drives me up there and drops me off, and sure enough, the guy that walks out is the one that they described to me. I thought, oh no. And so I became so full of anxiety that my hand literally was shaking like this. And of course, I was suffering from PTSD. I didn't realize this until later on because of some abuse I got as a child, physical, mental abuse I received as a child. So I didn't know why I had so much anxiety in general my whole life. But so I had, prayed that everything would go well. We were Mormons at the time. This is a whole other story I'll get into later, but we're not in that faith anymore. But so I was literally so, completely engulfed in anxiety, mentally, physically, that I couldn't barely write my name. I could barely write it. My hand was shaking so profusely that I just scribbled. And the guy told me very gruffly, okay, let's get going here. Turn right, leave the parking lot, turn right here. I made another right, another right in front of the DMV, another right on the side of the DMV. And so we never left the DMV, and he sits there, he tells me to go ahead and parallel park, and just park. And we just sat there. And I remember looking at the guy thinking, what is this guy doing? He was writing down in his notebook. I thought maybe he was telling the governor, never let this guy out on the road. He's terrible. I don't even know. I didn't even start the test yet. So I was so completely overtaken with such extreme anxiety that my prefrontal cortex was totally gone, man. I was just in a state of complete freaking out. And when all of a sudden, something from outside of me engulfed my being. It was an incredible thing. It's not something I thought about, something I was even expecting. It was just unbelievable. Something from outside of me, not connected to me, came into my body and engulfed me such that it was like my body was on fire in a good way, in a positive way. I just felt this warm, abiding presence that just completely took over my mind and my body. I cannot describe it. It was absolutely freaking incredible. And my hand that was going like this began to stop shaking, and I began to settle down, and into my mind was downloaded, and I can't even describe this. It was so out of this world. In my mind, I knew I was going to pass the test. It was beyond knowing. It was like it already happened. It was like I already passed the test. It was just no doubt in my mind. I can't even describe the the reassurance was so profound. It's not even describable in human language. I mean, it was like I had already passed it. I was so calm, so at ease. It's like something other than me was taking over me. But I mean, it was really me doing it. But whatever, this presence, this divine intervention, I call it, and it was a divine intervention. And we are all divine beings anyway, I believe. So this thing took over and put in my mind such a feeling of confidence and certainty that no faith was needed. It was like it already was, yeah, you're good. You're going to be okay. You're going to pass this thing. And it was as though it had already happened. Of course, keeping in mind the test had not started yet. It hadn't even begun. So for whatever reason, I look over at this instructor. He's writing down. Pretty soon he tells me he stops. He looks over at me. And he tells me to, pull out and to proceed and to take the test. And so we took the test. And I wasn't shaking. I wasn't afraid. I wasn't worried. I was at peace. I mean, like they talk about in the scriptures, talk about the peace beyond understanding. That is the kind of peace that I felt. I listen to these near-death experiences, and I hear these feelings of peace that's described. I think I might have gotten a glimpse of that in this experience. But it was so unbelievably profound and so incredible, because I would have never been able to pass that driver's exam, as silly as it sounds, without this divine intervention, if you will. I would have never been able to do it. I was just too gone mentally, emotionally. It would not have happened. And so for whatever reason, it was deemed necessary that I pass this test. I needed to learn how to drive. I needed to do some other things in my life that required driving. And so I think had I failed again, I think it would have been extremely difficult for me to go back and take the test a third time, because I've never heard of anybody taking it a third time. I've heard of 2 times, but never a third or a fourth. And it would just been too beyond my scope of comprehension, maybe an ability to cope with. So this one experience taught me that we are not alone. We are not alone. There are individuals, guardian angels, dead relatives, whatever you want to think, that are people, there are individuals, the influence of divine, Christ, God, that are very much aware of what we're experiencing in this life. And there are some instances where an intervention maybe is required so that we can continue on our path, the path that we were called here on this earth to accomplish, whatever that is, even if we don't even know what it is. So this experience for me left me no doubt that we're not alone, that we're being watched after, that we are always being taken care of, and that we should have nothing to really fear, even though we do, and I still have worries and fears, obviously. But in reality, we really, fear not, take no thought for the morrow, those types of scriptural references that are mentioned in the New Testament. So there is, be still and know that I'm God. All these things are peace, 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 peace be with you. I think we can get glimpses of that in this earth life that we experience in here. And I think this was just one small glimpse into that world beyond ours and that other dimension where there are individuals who are very much aware of what we're doing, what we're thinking, what we're feeling, and are very much available to assist us in times of need, whatever that be, even if something is simple and is ridiculous, maybe as a driver's exam and such as that. So I have never prior had an experience to this level. I've never since had an experience to that level, although I've had other spiritual experiences, of course, but never something that quite intrusive to where it actually came into my body and changed my whole mind, thinking, chemistry, whatever, from being a total wreck mentally and physically to being as calm as the summer's morning. It was beautiful. And I just wanted to share that with you out there, hoping that maybe that can give you a realization that there is more to this life than just the everyday drudgery, worries, concerns, death, and all the things that are going on in the world today, that there is hope, that there is light, that there is divinity, that we are divine, that we are good people, and that we are being looked after. And that is what I have to say to you today. So thank you, and peace out.